What are you afraid of? 2020 has become, in my opinion, from my perspective, the year of fear. We have been afraid of so much. We've been afraid of each other. We've been afraid of our neighbors. We've been afraid of opposing political parties. We've been afraid of being around each other. We've been afraid of being alone. We've been afraid of all kinds of things that we can't see. I think these little floating virus particles that can make anyone sick and some people dead have become the lightning rod of all of our fears, all of our anxieties. Whatever wound you up in knots before has found a name. And there are so many people in my life that I love and respect, who are people I look up to, role models, and many of these people have fallen victim to fear. And I was talking to some people that I adore a couple weeks ago, and I said, I think that you're living your life based on fear, and I don't think that's good. And their reply was, no, this is not fear, this is wisdom. And something about that in my spirit just, it didn't click, it didn't resonate. There was not the testimony of the Holy Spirit that, yes, this is true. But I didn't know in the moment how to come back at that. I didn't have the artillery to say, no, you're mistaken, and here's why. So I didn't say anything. But I prayed then and immediately after the conversation that God would show me what to do with fear. Not just only in my life and in the life of my family and those under my authority and many of you who would watch this who are in the church of which I'm a pastor. But I hope that he might show me what to do with fear so that I could maybe shoehorn some people out of these prisons that they have made for themselves. So I asked God what to do with fear, and his response to me was a homework assignment. I have undertaken this project, and I didn't know how big it was going to be when I started. It is a monster. And so I'm going to be creating these little video journals as I go, as I digest things and share them with you. And I don't know where this is going yet. I don't know how this plane will be landing. This might become a sermon series. This might become an excursus for our home Bible study. This might become a series of blog posts. I've even thought that maybe this might become a book. Here's what I'm doing. I have looked up in the ESV, it's the Bible translation I use, every occurrence of the word fear or its derivatives. Fear, fears, feared, fearing, fearful, fearfully. And it's similar parts of speech words like afraid, and some of its close synonyms like dread, terror, and those sorts of things. So all of those words, and I have made a list of every time those words show up in the ESV. It's over 500 passages, and I have begun to read each one in its context. So not just that verse, but I read the paragraph above and through the passage to make sure that I understand where fear fits in that. And I do a little bit of word study now, 500 and something passages. I'm not spending hours on each one, but I make sure that I identify the word in the Hebrew or the Greek that is being used there. And I am doing some commentary work if I don't immediately understand the point. So how far have I made it through over 500 passages? How far have I made it? I just ended Leviticus moments ago. So I am 3 books in to the Bible. I am not quite 50 references yet. So I think I just got 49 done. So around 10%, not just a little shy of 10% of my way through this journey. Already I've learned a whole lot. And the first thing that I wanted to share in one of these video journals that I'm going to be doing is that our English word fear is completely not up to the job of wrapping itself around what the Bible means by fear. I was expecting to find tons of underlying words for all of these different nuanced meanings. I've only run across 6 words so far in the Hebrew, and all of them except one only show up once each. So 6 words, 5 of them one time each so far in the first 3 books of the Bible. One of them is all of the others. And so it is by far the overwhelming dominant word in Hebrew for fear thus far in my journey. And I'm going to destroy the pronunciation. I'm sorry. It's spelled Y-A-R-E when you transliterate it into English. I'm going to say yare. It might be something entirely different. But that word means so many different things that to just say fear, when we think fear, we think, a lion surprises us in the jungle, fear, and I run away. But there's so much more in the Bible to this idea. I've got what I think is a good first pass definition for what the Bible means by fear. I'm going to say it twice so that you can start to think these thoughts along with me. And then I'll give you just a couple of quick examples, and then I'll be done. So my working definition for biblical fear is an overwhelming psychological impulse to change one's behavior or circumstances in response to an outside person or event. So, I'll say it again. Biblical fear, I think, is best defined as an overwhelming psychological impulse to change one's behavior or circumstances in response to an outside person or event. So, let me give you some examples of how this could mean the common sense of fear, and then what I think the Bible wants us to do a little differently with that. You're walking through a city at night, and you notice that you're being followed, and you notice that they're getting closer, and you don't feel good about what's happening, and so you don't just mildly think, in future situations like this, I might do something different. No, you think, I've got to change now. I've got to do something different right now. I've got to change my circumstances right now so that these people that are making me afraid don't do something bad to me. So you go into a busy shopping center, or if you're carrying, you put your hand on your weapon, you turn around and you face them and you say, get away. You do something drastic because there's this thing. The Bible has occurrences like that too. But then the Bible has things that totally don't fit like that. The Bible tells us to fear God. Well, you don't need to be scared of God. You don't need to run away from God. You don't need to go into a busy place so God doesn't follow you. You certainly can't draw your weapon on God. So I think that it's the same word, and I think that when we define it the way that I did, it helps us understand a little bit more about what the Bible might be teaching. Just like a terrifying thing makes you change your behavior to avoid something bad, the presence of God makes you change your behavior in positive and righteous ways. And I'm going to unpack this more in my next video. But right now I just want to help you think broadly about the term fear. And as you're reading the Bible, realize that it's an impetus for change. It's not necessarily like the stuff of horror movies. And so this is, I think, as far as I want to go in this first little journal entry. But pray for me as I'm doing this. It's a much bigger task than I thought it was going to be. And I am praying for many of you who I know are dealing with fear. As we walk into the new year, I pray that we would be able to walk into it with the fear of the Lord and not the fear of man or the fear of viruses, for sure. So I love you. I hope that this is helpful to you, and I plan on learning a lot and sharing it with you as we go. God bless you.